Down to the D. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and it's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Oh, boy, isn't it on a fine, wonderful, fabulous football Friday. Your Philadelphia Eagles, now 13-point favorites. Was 12.5. Now 13-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers, who the scariest thing people can say about the Carolina Panthers. Now, I'm going to say it, but I don't want to terrify you. All right, I know you guys are really optimistic about the Eagles winning 9 in a row. I don't want to terrify you, but here is the biggest reason the Panthers have a chance at winning this football game. You ready for it? Here it is. This is what people have been doling out. Okay, here it is. Ready? Here we go. They have played better lately. Oh, boy. I hope I didn't ruin your weekend. Oh man. Oh, they have played better recently. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Now, yeah, they've played better recently. That's what everyone's been talking about. That's been the latest craze. I did like what A.J. Brown had to say in the locker room yesterday, both about Jalen Hurts, sure. What he said about Devontae Smith, how it's great to have Smitty back, full participant. Devontae Smith in practice yesterday. That was wonderful to see. All but Dallas Goedert will be, all the weapons but Dallas Goedert will be at the disposal of Jalen Hurts in this game. So that's good. And the Philadelphia Eagles offense as a whole. But he said, last year we played the Arizona Cardinals, and they weren't very good. That's the Jonathan Gannon coached Arizona Cardinals. We played them last year, and they weren't really good, and we ended up losing. So we can't look past any opponent. Now, what I'm going to do on this particular program today is really I'm going to look past this particular opponent. But I could do that. You could do that. We could do that because we're not playing in this football game. And we're not like the Philadelphia Eagles. We're excited for our football practice on Monday after a convincing win over the Baltimore Ravens. We're not just gonna be tickled pink over that. No. Well, we could be, but the Philadelphia Eagles aren't because they wanted to get back to work. So any idea of them kicking their feet up, lounging back, and thinking, we got this, I don't see it. I see the Philadelphia Eagles going into this game and obviously expecting to win, expecting it maybe not to be easy, but I think their goal in this game isn't just to win. I think their goal in this game is to continue to manage the rest of the season. Now, that might sound like they're looking past it, but let's be real here. If you're the Eagles and you're looking at the Panthers, sure, you're thinking, yeah, all hands on deck. I got to do everything I can to do my job and make sure I help this team win a football game. Jalen Hurts got to make good reads. Saquon Barkley got to hit the hole. Zach Bond's got to make his tackles, which hasn't been an issue for him all season. The defense has to continue to play at a high level. Isaiah Rodgers can't get burnt by any of these receivers there for the Panthers that we'll get into in a second. But the goal, I believe, is to make sure they get their starters rested in the fourth quarter again. That to me, like the Eagles win this game. But the win of wins is the Eagles get to rest their starters in the fourth quarter. Yes, the goal is to win. The name of the game is to win. I'd like a little bit more than that. I'd like to win and then benefit next week's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers by resting starters in the fourth quarter. Oh, and then also Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the ball as much because he won't have a fourth quarter to throw in, So then everyone just thinks he sucks more. So that when they get to the playoffs, everyone's like, well, this guy sucks anyway. Just stop Saquon Barkley. Jalen's not going to beat you. And then Jalen's going to beat you with a very healthy Devontae Smith, fingers crossed, and a very healthy A.J. Brown, fingers crossed. And then by then, a very healthy Dallas Goedert, fingers crossed, and all that. Okay. By the way, hey, speaking of football, thanks a lot, Packers. What the hell was that? What was that? What are you doing? Dan Campbell tries to Dan Campbell goes for it. Very aggressive. That's the way he's been all year. That's the way they've done it out there in Detroit, Motor City. But on a fourth down play, on a 4th and 1, they decide, hey, instead of having a 4th and 1, let's have a 4th and 4. And they do the toss to Jameer Gibbs, They do the toss to him like 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, further behind the line of scrimmage. So it's a 4th and 4 instead. And they toss it to him, trying to spread out the defense a little bit, trying to have him run through some blocks. The blocks didn't block, and they get in the backfield and they have a stop. And Green Bay couldn't take that the rest of the way. Christian Watson had an early fumble in the game after a huge gain. had the ball flying up in the air, and then it got punched out. Detroit took advantage of it for 3. Packers couldn't do you any favors last night, unfortunately. I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit. And now the Lions, they clinched playoff spot, obviously. They still have some work to do to clinch the number 1 seed. The Eagles are going to look to make that as hard as possible for them. But could have benefited the Eagles to see them drop to their second loss of the season. That would have been nice. Anyway. Also, here's how the day went yesterday. Joel Embiid, Joel Embiid's not playing tonight after some hope that he would play tonight. So there's that. Then Devontae Smith's on the practice field. Yay! Devontae Smith's going to play. Yay! Flyers lose 7-5. Lions beat the Packers. Philly's never talked to Juan Soto, but I think that's been out for like a day now. That's how yesterday went. Yesterday was not that great. The best news for yesterday ended up being Devontae Smith being a full participant in practice. And that's where we're at. Before we go any further, Devontae Smith being a full participant, some interesting things from A.J. Brown yesterday in the locker room. And this was just about Devontae Smith and what he brings to the table. And there's some of the stuff here that I've never heard before. Maybe you have, but I haven't. Take a listen.
Yeah, man, I miss Smitty a lot, man. I can't wait for him to be out there. He does a lot, man. He does a lot. He's like basically our signal caller. When we come in the huddle, we go to him, and just his play. You know, his presence. His presence will be felt when he gets back on the field. So I'm excited for him. I know the team is excited to have him back too.
The signal caller part of that. I mean, the obvious part of that is he's excited to have him back because, you know, if you're a good wide receiver, it's nice to have another good wide receiver on the other side of the football field so they can't double team you as often. They got to worry about somebody else. And if they are double teaming you, Jalen Hurts has another target. So let's get that out of the way. But the other thing is he's our signal caller. Okay. Now, I'm not saying or implying that it's like, what's Jalen Hurts doing? As seems to be the fun hit train this week. Oh, my God, our football team's awesome. Quick, find a way to rip the quarterback. But I thought that was interesting that they looked to him, you know, the younger player, the not as experienced player, more so than A.J. Brown as the signal caller. Hey, where to line up and all that fun stuff. So, all right, that's good. I didn't realize that before, but that is certainly interesting. When I look at this game overall, I do acknowledge that the Carolina Panthers have played a better football game than most people would give them credit for. They played a better football game than they have certainly in the first half of the season. And some of the things that I'm looking at here is the improvement of Bryce Young. Now, when you talk about the improvement of Bryce Young, you're talking about a guy that's going from a 70 passer rating to an 85 or 83 or 85 passer rating. Like, is he playing better? Well, yeah. You're talking about a guy also, but it's marginal. You're also talking about a guy that's only been sacked 14 times this season. Now, he did miss some games in the early goings of the season, so the more impressive thing to me is that he's only been sacked 7 times in the last 5 games. And he also has not thrown an interception in the last 3 games. So, yeah, if you want to talk about a team that is playing better football than they were at the start of the season, they have absolutely played better football than the start of the season. And we've gone over their losses, or their games, rather, I should say, earlier in the week. But when you look at it, they take on the Buccaneers, they lose by 3 points. They take on the Chiefs, they lose by 3 points. They beat the Giants by 3. They beat the Saints by a point. They lose to the Broncos by 2 touchdowns. They got blown out by the Commanders 40-7. Holy Stromboli. So this is a recent. When people say recently, they're talking about the last 4 games. And in the last 4 games, they have won 2 of the 3 games that they have won all season. So, yes, they're playing better football. Their quarterback is playing better football. Chuba Hubbard is playing better football. He's running the football well. But we do this thing on the pregame show with Seth and Derek Gunn, who's not going to be there this week. Derek Gunn has a family obligation. Everything's good, but family obligation. So he's going to be away. Ray Dinger looks like he'll be sitting in with us again. That'll be fun. But we do this thing where we talk about behind enemy lines, like who's the guy you're focusing on behind enemy lines. And I'm like looking at this list and I'm like, Jadeveon Clowney's banged up, and I'm not really that worried about him unless, Carson Wentz's head is anywhere in the frame. Xavier Legette's a good receiver. Rookie, brings a lot to the table, obviously. I'm looking at Chuba Hubbard, good running back. But I'm like, he's going to run. Legette's going to run against Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Not that concerned. Chuba Hubbard, he's got to run through the defensive line and Cooper DeJean coming up to make a hit. I'm worried about Chuba Hubbard when the Eagles just found a way to contain Derrick Henry. Really? I'm going to fear Bryce Young and a quarterback that's been playing a little bit better recently after you just beat a 2-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. Yeah, you see what I'm getting at here? You see what I'm getting at? Even not Legette, but Woods, Xavier, but X marks the spot in this game. Even Xavier Woods, for instance, I'm going to be afraid of him and his 3 interceptions when Jalen Hurts has not been on the interception train for quite some time. Like, everything I look at that could hint at other than any given Sunday, any team could win. Yeah, sure. Yes, if the Eagles shoot themselves in the foot a number of times and the Panthers play somewhat well, yes, there's a chance the Panthers beat the Eagles. That I will say there's a chance in that happening. I've watched too much weird football. A.J. Brown even pointing out last year, losing to the Cardinals was not fun. Losing to the Giants, you could also put that on the list too. That wasn't fun either at the end of the season. But all the things that I look at in this game, the Eagles are just better. So then that steers you into the awful conversation of trap game, letdown game. Don't overlook the Panthers. And everyone in the locker room is saying the exact right thing. But for me, it's not what these guys are saying. Jordan Davis was talking about it yesterday. Lane Johnson was talking about it 2 days ago. All you ever hear from Jalen Hurts is how much he respects the opponent, which is the exact week where I always think of this NFL Films piece I saw when I was a kid, and it lives rent-free in my head in games like this, where you're getting a team like the Carolina Panthers, and their coaching staff is telling them, oh, they don't respect you over there. No one respects you. No one respects you. And then you go play. Then you go listen to the other team, and it's like, we got a ton of respect for Bryce Young. Like everyone respects you. It's all nice things. It's all niceties being said. Nobody's overlooking you. It's not just what they say, though. It's what they do. If the Eagles, in all honesty, I'm putting a lot into one day, but the fact that the Eagles improved to 10-2, the fact that they won their 8th straight game, the fact that they just survived well, by the way, survived their biggest test of the season against the Ravens, and they were all jacked to come to work the next day after a nice little bus ride back to Philly. That tells you that this team is not looking at the Carolina Panthers going, yeah, we got this. To them, they want to make sure they cross all the T's, dot all the I's, dot all the lowercase J's even, and handle their business against Carolina Panthers. That's what I love about this football team. So if you're talking about trap games, I don't think this is one of them. If you're talking about a game where you're looking at your opponent going, we got this. This isn't it. The Eagles want to take that break. The Eagles want to give their starters themselves that break in the fourth quarter of this game. That's the off time they're looking for. Also, maybe get Saquon Barkley 109 yards, so then he sets the Eagles' all-time single-season rushing record, passing LaShawn McCoy. That'd be nice. Before I get into the 5 things I'm going to be looking at in this game, I did this. I was on with Sills yesterday, Dan Cilio, and he had asked me 2 things that I was thinking about afterwards. And one of them is it's so far down the line because you're talking about a team that has what do the Eagles have 5 games left? If Saquon is closer and closer to Eric Dickerson's number, and it's the classic question of do you go for the record or do you make sure he's healthy for the postseason? The only thing that matters really is getting healthy for the postseason. But then so I'm in the school of you're not playing him to break a record. Not doing that. No thanks. But one of the avenues I did go down afterwards was how important this record is. Like, think about this for a second. All the things that go into it. Number one, this offensive line getting that feather in their cap of blocking for the all-time single-season rushing leader in Saquon Barkley. Jeff Stoutland, not only the offensive line coach here in Philadelphia, but also the run game coordinator in Philadelphia. The fact that he gets put that feather in his cap, that is pretty special. As long as he has been here, the offensive lineman he's trained, Stoutland University, oh my goodness gracious. How great would that be? The organization, Howie Roseman, 2 years ago? 2 years ago. No, last season. You did not sign Miles Sanders. You ended up signing 3 running backs for the price of Miles Sanders. The price that he signed for in Carolina is what you got all 3 of your running backs for last year. So to say you've invested in the position in the past is not true. You brought in LeGarrette Blount, we all know, and Jay Ajayi, and you brought in Corey Clement, an undrafted running back the year you won the Super Bowl, and all that was great. That was awesome stuff. But in terms of really investing in a running back, you went out in this offseason and you picked up Saquon Barkley. Oh, and you put him behind this offensive line, and it became the most feared thing by defenses across the NFL. There's no better exclamation point than him getting the rushing title. And not just the rushing title, but the all-time single-season rushing record for both the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL. That's how special that would be. That's all-encompassing why that would be so special. But with that being said, to reiterate, I'm not playing them in the last 2 games. The Eagles have everything wrapped up. Now, when I say not playing them, I'm not playing them for the record. I'm a big proponent of play a little bit. Play a series, do whatever gets you in the motion so that, and I firmly believe in rust. I love the idea of keeping a good thing going and not stepping out of, not that momentum, but that rhythm more so than anything. Because like Jalen Hurts, I think momentum is horse. You know what? But I'm a proponent. I think you play him, but this is putting the cart before the horse. I think you play him, but I don't think you play him for an entire game or anything like that. And you certainly don't play him just to beat the record. And I know that just downplays a record that I put such importance on, but what do you want? Do we have parades for record breakers? We don't have parades for record breakers. We have parades for championships. There's 1 Lombardi trophy on the side of Lincoln Financial Field. I'd like to see 2. And I think I'm not alone in that. So that was one thing that rattled around in my head. And then the other thing was, in the midst of all this Jalen Hurts hate, and the best way I can describe it is, oh my God, our football team's won 8 games in a row. They're awesome. Rip the quarterback. The tale as old as time. Watch the cup. Which one has the ball under it? It came up about Jalen Hurts' improvement this year. Now, it's easy to say, oh, look, the numbers aren't that good. He's throwing less than any quarterback in the NFL. I acknowledge, and I got into this yesterday a little bit, but I acknowledge that Jalen Hurts isn't the star of the show. He's not, the number one thing on this offense. But I understand he helps everything in this offense tremendously, including Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley and this Eagles offensive line being as dominant as they have been this season does not make me look at Jalen Hurts and go, oh, well, he sucks. Because the most dominant thing in the entire NFL also happens to be on this football team. I'm not looking at, oh, Saquon behind this offensive line. Well, Jalen sucks now. This team wouldn't be where it's at without Jalen Hurts. Without the threat of Jalen Hurts running, without the threat of Jalen Hurts even throwing the football. Yeah, throwing the football. And the improvements he's made in going through his progression, seeing what the defense is doing, checking down at the line of scrimmage to give the ball to Saquon Barkley when the play that was already called doesn't look so good. I'm not saying he does it every play. I'm not saying he's calling his own plays or anything like that. But the fact that he's recognizing pre-snap better than ever, post-snap recognizing better than ever, going through his progressions, being accurate. I mean, look, people are like, well, Jalen Hurts can't even throw. Do you forget the second quarter when he was hitting A.J. Brown? Do you forget the 3rd and 7 in the fourth quarter before Saquon Barkley had the 25-yard touchdown run? Do you forget in between Saquon's runs, in between that, Jalen Hurts had a nice little run for himself as well? Oh, you're talking about throwing quarterback. Yeah, look, he's got to throw, and he's going to throw. And if push comes to shove and he's got to throw, I still got confidence that this team is going to win. But here's what sucks with Jalen. People invested early in Jalen. Like for me, people made the decision early with Jalen. He got drafted. I hated the philosophy. But some people hated the player and the philosophy. So now they've dug in on the idea of, well, Jalen Hurts can never be good. And the one year he was great and an MVP candidate, people were like, oh, flash in the pan, see if he does it again. He's just another Carson Wentz. Have we seen that he's not? Like, I haven't heard the comparisons of he's just another Carson Wentz. I haven't heard that in a while. It's funny what happens when your quarterback helps you win 8 games in a row. It's also funny when your quarterback, who had a moment of bad blood there, maybe more than a moment, with his head coach, came in during the bye week, had a unsolicited great bye week with his head coach, and then they came to work and they fixed things. He wasn't alone. Lane Johnson was a big part of that. Jordan Mailata was a big part of that. Hey, look, as the wide receivers are saying on this football team, you got Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Give him the ball. You got Superman in the backfield. Give him the ball. Let your cape out, Saquon, according to A.J. Brown. But the funny thing with Jalen is that even if he does hit A.J. Brown on some slant routes, even if he does hit Devontae Smith on a go route, even if he does hit Dallas Goedert perfectly in stride on a rub route where the rub didn't work and the defender was still with him and he puts it on the money, well, Dallas made a great play. A.J. made a great play. Like, trying to convince the fan base that your quarterback sucks is the oldest trick in the book. And I don't understand how you could watch this season, like really watch this season and come away with, oh, well, Jalen, they're winning in spite of him. That's the one that really gets me. They're winning in spite of him. The things he opens up in the run game by his own ability is fantastic. Now, is it the reason that Saquon's having a great season? No. But does it help? Absolutely. I think the biggest thing, other than just his talent on the field and what he brings to the table there, is his communication with his head coach. Because in other experiences, one diva player, whether wide receiver or quarterback, can really alter the course of a season. And when you win 8 games in a row in the NFL, and you have gotten out to 3 consecutive 10-2 seasons, that shows you're doing something pretty right. Oh, and Jalen's been the quarterback for those 10-2 seasons. That's funny. That's funny. The slander, the disrespect, I won't stand for it. All right, let's get into I'm sorry. One more thing. A.J. Brown yesterday talking about Jalen Hurts' growth. Then we'll get into 5 things I'm looking at in this game. Here's A.J. Brown when he was asked yesterday at his locker about the growth this season. And also, I say this. Everyone knows they're good friends. So whatever A.J. Brown is saying in this answer, I can only think that this is something that he and Jalen have talked about. So this makes me think that this is as close to Jalen saying it without Jalen saying it.
I think he's just been kind of just taking what they give him, not doing too much. I think just playing a game how they play it,
And the connection that you guys have, even if it's 8 targets in a game, seems like it's 7-8 receptions that are happening on a pretty consistent basis. What has gone into that's allowed that to take off?
I think it's just me trying to maximize every opportunity and make the most of it. It's as simple as that. So.
One of the things that was a constant question in the locker room yesterday too was, "Hey, your targets are down this year. Your targets are down significantly." And he just smiled. It's actually the smile that I'm using on the thumbnail for the YouTube show. He's like, "You're not going to get me. You're not going to. You guys asked me the same question like last week and the week before. Nobody cares. It's so fascinating, and I don't think that anybody's baiting or anything like that, like looking for like, oh, dude, is AJ going to say Jalen sucks? No, I don't think anyone's that stupid. But he answers the question about the targets. He's like, yeah, that's fine. That's whatever. 8-0, man. In years past, when you want everyone to get along in a locker room and everyone cheer for one another, it's happening right now. You want everyone to be pulling for one another for the embetterment of the team, for the advancement of the team, the greater good of the team. That's happening right now. I made the point on Monday that actually it was Tuesday. I love the idea of the Philadelphia Eagles players being the biggest fans of the Philadelphia Eagles players. Like, I'm not used to this. Not that I ever think it was awful in that locker room and just people wanted to light a match or anything like that. No. But we look throughout sports and we wonder, are they really happy for one another? Seem to be pretty happy. Seem to be getting along pretty well. Oh, and they're winning football games. Yeah, sure. When you win, it's easy. But how do you get those wins? Well, everyone being on the same page and sacrificing for the greater good. Jalen Hurts sacrificing some numbers this year for the greater good. He's not hero balling it. And one of the other things I told our friend Sills, by the way, was when it comes to Jalen Hurts and what he's doing this season that's different, I go back to how I've never seen him look off a safety. Nothing close to the rate he's doing it this year, especially when he has both healthy wide receivers. The pre-snap reads seem to be more on point. The progressions seem to be quicker. This is all stuff that I didn't get used to, especially last year. And also, let's not forget, last year it ended at such a rock bottom moment that any step forward this year would seem like a giant leap. So even I'll compare it to 2022. I'm seeing quicker progressions. I'm seeing the pre-snap reads seem to be a hell of a lot more efficient, especially if you're talking about him checking out of a play or calling his own number. And then one huge difference between last year and this year is that I've never looked at Jalen Hurts this year and gone, is he okay? Is he healthy? He seems like he has been pretty healthy throughout this season. Now, let's get into it when it comes to 5 things I'm going to be looking at in this game. Every one of these are not concerns. In my radio days, I would have to look at these things and come up with 5 reasons to worry about a particular team. That was an assignment I was given. I'm just not worried. These aren't worries. These are just things to watch. That's all. Because I'm going to start at the end. I never do this. I have the Eagles winning this game 37-10. Like, I'm still there. I'm 37-10. The Eagles win this football game. If the 49ers can win 40-7 against a squad like this, and I know they weren't playing as good then, but now they're playing good. They've been playing better. They haven't sucked for 4 weeks, so that's a good stretch for them, including 2 wins. But first thing I look at is the quarterback in Bryce Young. And what Bryce Young has brought to the table over the last couple of games has been pretty good. Over 260 yards in back-to-back games, which is a brag for him. He's only been sacked 7 times in the last 5 games. That's pretty good. 3 straight games, as I mentioned earlier, without an interception. So if you're looking for the big turnover, it hasn't happened. Now it's up to Jalen Carter. It's up to Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean. Hey, Quinyon Mitchell, come get some. Let's break that trend. Get that first pick of the season. Let's go. But he's played well. Target-wise, you're looking at a guy like Tommy Tremble, their tight end, very good tight end. Can go up and get it. Not quite like Mark Andrews, but along those same lines. You saw Mark Andrews last week high point the football with his quarterback and be able to reel it in. He's more of a precise route runner, this Tommy Tremble guy. Look forward to seeing what he could bring to the table in this game and how the Eagles can stop him. Also, Xavier Legette as wide receiver, their leading wide receiver, quick, first-round pick, 32nd overall, if I'm not mistaken. But he's running against these cornerbacks. So I feel pretty good. The only thing that really gets to me, Chuba Hubbard I mentioned earlier in the show also, they're pretty damn good. Pretty damn good at stopping the run. I hate being this confident. I'm not used to it, but feel pretty good. And then finally, the only thing that I look at in games like this is the turnover battle. And the takeaway differential, believe it or not, is Carolina Panthers -4, which is 22nd in the NFL, and the Philadelphia Eagles +3. +3, which is 10th in the NFL. But the one guy I look at is Xavier Woods. And Xavier Woods is a good cornerback for the Carolina Panthers, and he's got 3 interceptions this year. So if you're looking for anyone to take it away, if anyone to jump a route and capitalize on a mistake from Jalen Hurts and come up with something that could turn the tide of the game or make the Eagles play catch up at any point or struggle to play put away, Xavier Woods is the only guy I'm looking at and go, this could be a problem. But other than that, you're talking about a team right now that scores 18.1 points per game, 30th in the NFL. You're talking about a team that allows 30 and a half, 30.5 points per game, 32nd in the NFL. You're talking about a rush defense that is the worst in the NFL. So what are we doing here? Oh, and when it comes to running the football, even, Chuba Hubbard, who I just mentioned, okay, overall they're 29th in the NFL. So the people that want to cling to the idea of a letdown game don't really see it happening. Also worth noting, last week their pass rush had 4 sacks on Baker Mayfield. They had 5 sacks the previous week. So I'll do the math. 9 sacks, 2 interceptions over the last 2 weeks. So that's what they got going for them. So if you're going to look at anything, their pass rush getting home and disrupting things. But like I said, Jadeveon Clowney's banged up. I don't see the Adam Thielen is a veteran wide receiver. Like, what are we doing? The Eagles win this game 37-10. The only thing that might get them is a 37-14 or 37-17 on a garbage time touchdown, which seems to be the thing to do against the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZI, and get $20 off your first purchase. That's $20 off your first purchase. When you use promo code FARZI on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZI, get $20 off your first purchase. Let's see what we got going on here in the chat. PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. Sean Gillespie, what's up? T-Bro, happy Football Friday to you. Wine Niners Wine. Jason A. Charles Dead. I was tuning in as Mark was signing off like, what the, huh? Oh, that's hilarious. No, yeah, what I was doing in the open, yeah. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? We better win, Jason says. Again, Embiid is out again. Sixers should tank. Last year provided many lessons for the Eagles, says Sean Gillespie. Absolutely. Come to realize that the Lions are the NFC version of the Chiefs with the refs, Farzy. Yeah, I think you can say that. Gatekeepers, what's going on? Packers can't do anything right. They had one job. I know, right? Signal caller could just be Deontay. Signal caller could just be he reads the defense. Yeah, I'm not putting anything big into that. He sees something that apparently other players don't see. That's all I look for. April, hello. Sean Gillespie, run the damn ball. What Eagles fan have been saying for decades. JB, happy Friday. Absolutely. April. This little game here against the Panthers. You excited? Not going to lie, I really wish the game was down here. I would love to go. It would basically be another home game for the Eagles. I can remember a Sunday night game against the Panthers, and it was a home game. I was down there in Carolina, and the place was hopping. All Eagles fans. Shooter McGavin, you guys are winning the Super Bowl. Hate to say it, but the Lions will lose. Dan's testosterone-filled decisions will cost them, and they are still the Lions. If Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni ever coached on the same team, would that sidelines just explode with enthusiasm and energy? I think they would. Because Nick would try to match Nick's an energetic guy, but he would try to match the energy of Dan Campbell. Ryan, what's going on? Trying to convince a fan base that a quarterback sucks is the oldest trick in the book. My man. Still trying to get me on it. Team is actually not one-dimensional. Right? Dangerous in the air. I agree. Oh, you're stuck behind a school bus? Jay, I got you because I got to make sure I leave the house on time to get to Fox and don't get stuck behind a school bus. So without further ado. Starters. This is what the Eagles starters are going to be doing in the fourth quarter on a positive way. We're up 37-10. Just sit here right now for the fourth quarter. It'll be great. Saquon's already got 150 yards. This is great. Thanks for watching. Yes, I do have to get over to Fox. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Make sure to download the Game Time app. Use promo code Farzy for $20 off your first purchase. And don't forget about our friends at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. PHLSportsNation.com. See you on Fox, folks. Go Birds.